Hello, hello, hello. The truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. So this is the What the Heck is Going On series. And simple. Mashiach is about to come. We said yesterday that it's all about the prophecy in Daniel, which remarkably corresponded to the year 5751, that it will become clear who's good and who's evil. And if you just really think about this, I mean, I grew up in America, Western democracy, everything was beautiful, and we saw the whole world as a beautiful place. But it seems that the facts on the ground are very different because ultimately the world really goes through three stages. And the first stage is the stage of barbarism. When man was created, it didn't take long. And in fact, in African countries, Arab countries, many countries, I would believe most countries are like this. And I lived in Africa for many years, so I saw it firsthand. And basically, they live on the rule of balance of power. So even though it may look like there's a rule of law, there isn't a rule of law. And one of the ways you see this is what would happen if you take away the central authority. So if you look at, let's say, Syria, when the central authority goes, the whole place turns to chaos. Even in America, in the black neighborhoods in Louisiana, I mean, it was insane. I spoke to a guy who, I don't know, his uncle was stranded in some post office. They couldn't they couldn't take a boat to the post office because there were these black gangs shooting randomly. They were shooting, raping women, shooting at helicopters trying to save them because the lust for power and abuse was so great that the moment they had the opportunity, they were only too happy to take it. And so these kind of societies, which are very real, I don't want to shame anyone, so I'm not going to mention different societies, but the fact is that any society where if you took away the government, the people won't form one, what happens is there's kind of this mad, it's sort of like a rat race. If you ever saw rats in a cage, they're all just clamoring to get to the water, get to the top. And any society that's like that really is just not a civilized society. And even though it may be kept under control, whether it's Libya, I mean, you name any Arab country, they're really just, they say a barbarian country needs a barbarian leader. There's no other way. However, that's ultimately not the goal. The goal is to have civilized people. So you take a country like even America that rebelled against the British, they immediately created a structure. They created a Senate and a Congress, and they were able to think their way out of the problem. And they're trying to do it like this, trying to do it like that. So there's a very fundamental difference between people that understand kind of notions and ideas versus people that understand only power and fear. And ultimately, there's a third level, and that's really the truth. And the truth is that growing up in these safe societies, because you need safety, as Milton Friedman, one of the great minds of our century, said that where you find prosperity, you find safety. It's a long subject, but basically, if we don't feel safe, our mind, like a vets, people that are most of the people that are homeless, basically are suffering from anxiety and severe trauma, and so they can't deal with people. And so you need to have a sense of safety in order to be able to interact with people, and in order to be able to think. Literally, the mind, the amygdala nuclei region takes over the mind, and the person is not thinking, the person is reacting exactly like kind of an animal just trying to be safe. So it's a big subject. I don't want to go too deeply into it, but safety is critical for thinking. And so we, who are very, 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 very fortunate to have safety, because I've lived in Johannesburg, which is unsafe and it's not fun at all, we are privileged to be able to think rationally. And then we begin to think, okay, so what's the purpose of life? And then we develop a relationship with God. And then we also begin to see the differences, some of them that I just mentioned, the differences in terms of what is beneficial, what isn't beneficial, what is true, what isn't true, and most importantly, what is noble versus what is ignoble.